Melody girl, I don't know how you do it, because from the looks of it, after this episode, this new baby's gonna have you and Martell in therapy again this time next year.
I just need someone to love me when it's hard to. I can trust with all my issues.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't noticed, we are going to be talking about Love and Marriage Huntsville today. Honestly, this episode just gave us more insight into Melody and Martell's relationship. As much as he keeps trying to make it, in the household, you know, you just need some help, Martell. But we're going to get into all of that first. Do your girl a favor, hit that subscribe button down there. And if you are new to your girl's channel, this is your first time tuning in, let me welcome you to Big What's Up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down there so you can join the fam. Speaking of that, let me do a couple of shout outs to my family members. Let me first say hey to the girl who goes by the name of All Types of Ghetto. Girl, that is a real name. Ghetto out here in these streets. Another one I want to acknowledge is Miss Cassandra Warren, or Cassandra, however you pronounce it. Just want to say hey, appreciate the love down in the comments. And last but not least, I want to say hey to Miss YVONNE Blunt. You gave me some good, recognition last review I did. I think it was on Basketball Wives. I just want to say hey to you, Miss YVONNE. Thank you for tuning in to my reviews. So, y'all, let's get into Love and Marriage Huntsville today. Basically, the episode opens up with Melody going into Martell's room after he had a night out, with the birthday party, Kimmi's son's birthday. All the men went there. And she woke his ass up by throwing a pillow at him. And she was like, okay, where were you at last night? And he let her know, I just went to a birthday party. I came back, but it was okay. A lot of us older men, we gave him, good advice. And she's like, who gave good advice? And I'm feeling the same exact way, because how you men giving advice to dudes and y'all still out here fucking up in the streets? Like, I'm not understanding here. But nonetheless, he told her, it's just a couple of us. And she's like, really? So then he goes into how, as he was leaving, Marcel pulled him to the side and told him about how he knew about the girl calling because because Melody told him. And Martell is annoyed because he's like, here we go again, Melody putting our business out in the streets. And Melody was like, look, you're the one, we got business out in the streets. I wouldn't be having business to talk about if you wouldn't be creating it. Point blank, period. And I'm like, Martell, you want to get mad at her for saying nothing, but there would be nothing to talk about if you weren't doing it. Like, the way this man is able to just deflect is just, I swear he does it like a pro. It is just amazing the way he can make everything he does somebody else's fault. And you'll notice that later on in the episode when we talk about their therapy session. But after that, we see Kimmi is wanting to do some type of event for women in the community. She's looking for venues or whatever. She has her sister with her. And she starts talking about, the issues with Maurice having Monster come down and Kiawah and the husband along with them. And she obviously is feeling some type of way because she's like, I know she doesn't like me. We had to sit down, and I'm annoyed that she basically didn't own nothing. We all saw how Kiawah wanted to act dumb. Like, oh, you remember that? Oh, I didn't say that. And, oh, why are you the one holding on to the past? And Kimmi's like, bitch, this is very much recent. You talked shit about me last month. I didn't even know it was last month. I'm thinking, maybe last year. But this heifer was talking shit to Maurice last month. So that is very much recent and very much not in the past, Kiawah. And the fact that Kimmi has not said nothing negative about you, especially to Monster, and she treats your son great, you needed to, disperse this little funky attitude that you got. And so Kimmi is like, Kiawah was to say, me and Maurice were very much still involved. And Kimmy's like, I know I didn't mess with him till after everything was done. So I'm starting to think, like, Maurice, were you double dipping? Like, were you falling back to Kiawah? Because the way that she keeps trying to put this on Kimmi about how, she was involved, while y'all were still, in the midst of the divorce, is starting to make me question you. As much as I want to think you are much better than Martell and Marcel, at the end of the day, you never know what goes on when you have a relationship with somebody and there's emotions involved. So she's then starting to go into how, she's having issues with holding her tongue, and Maurice not, checking Kiawah and getting an apology for the way that, she talked shit about her. And I would feel the same exact way. Like, you need to make sure your ex doesn't feel comfortable enough disrespecting me. But the issue is Maurice is giving her so much leeway because he loves his son so much and he doesn't want to piss her off. So Monster can come down to Alabama. And that's honestly not a way to live because you might get your son, but at the end of the day, your wife is still going, like, she's collateral damage, basically. So at this point, Kimmi's like, I'm no longer dealing with it, and I expect this bitch to apologize. Yes, Kimmi, I co-signed that. So we see Melody and Martell actually do an interview at a radio show in Alabama, and the host's name is Tony or whatever. And, they start the interview talking about how, they're doing so much good in the community and, building, affordable homes. And then it starts getting a little messy because Tony starts talking about how the comeback group, and Melody kind of threw out like a little bit of a hint. She's like, the comeback group, we're kind of like on a pause right now. We're all doing our individual things. So Tony took that spoon and started stirring and started being like, oh, did y'all get that? Did you read in between the lines? You guys, it's like, oh, when an R&B group breaks up and, the big stars go off and, be successful. So she was kind of making it seem like the comeback group couldn't be nothing without Melody and Martell. So then Tony starts getting even more messy and shady when they get into the conversation of their infidelity and have to deal with it publicly. And Martell at this point, basically, you can tell he's so annoyed every time it gets brought up. He just gets this, like, energy of, here we go again. But nigga, like, you gonna have to take all these licks on the chin because at the end of the day, you did your dirt. And you did your dirt in Alabama and was with a woman for, what, damn near 2-3 years? Like, bruh. Like, you gonna take these licks. Ooh, my bad. Shirt done went down. But nonetheless, so she's like, well, everybody knows you're a cheater. She said it so blatantly that you could just tell it just was a knife to Martell's stomach. And she was like, how do you feel? And he was like, oh, correction. I used to be a cheater. I'm not that anymore. So then she's like, okay, well, Melody, Martell, how do you feel, now that it's public? Do you feel like, women may be coming basically to test the boundaries because they know your ass does dirt. Your ass is a cheater. So basically they can come along and play with you and, know that you will at least be tempted. But Martell's like, he claims there ain't no women coming after him. So whatever, Martell, we'll believe that. Okay. So we see that Tish and Marceau are getting ready for the game night that Melody and Martell are throwing. Oh, we gotta talk about how Martell finally changed the number. He said that before the radio show. He was changing the number because it's a good thing that him and Melody are going to therapy, because at the beginning of the episode, when she was talking about the whole birthday party or whatever, he's like, I want you to go to therapy with me because it seems like you always want to throw it out there. So maybe, you want to talk to somebody else instead of putting our business out in the public on Front Street. So Melody agreed to go to therapy with Martell. But, he changed his number, guys. But we know he gonna give that bitch that number anyways. So then, back to Tisha and Marceau, they're getting ready for the game night. And Tisha's like, I don't even want to go. Like, you and Martell might be good, but like, I know me and Melody still have issues. And Marceau, basically at this point, Marceau was trying to eat Melody and Martell's ass because he knows they got the receipts of his dirty laundry. And he's trying to make sure they don't put him in the same category as Martell, which is a fuck nigga. And he's doing everything to please them and appease them. But Tish at this point is just not for it. And so when Marceau's talking, she's like, why do I feel like you're team Melody right now? Marceau's like, I'm team friendship. Nah, nigga, you team I ain't getting caught. That's what you doing. So then he starts trying to like make it seem like, well, babe, like if we ain't gonna go to the game night, what we gonna do at home? Like we gonna do some freaky deaky sex? And she's like, well, we can stay at home. And like, he's like, I'm not trying to waste the babysitter. Like, what is it? We going to a game night? Or are we having like genuine pony sex? Which one is it? Tish, if you're going to come up with a backup plan, I'm going to need you to have something. Like, if you don't want to go to the game night, you better have something else planned for your husband. Because obviously, he out there doing his stuff. Like, if you ain't pleasing him, somebody else is. Obviously, you know that. You see what happened to Martell and Melody. But then Marceau goes into how, he feels bad for Melody because he had a conversation with her. And, he knows about Reese, the side chick, calling and her answering the phone. So then Tish starts kind of feeling bad because she's starting to see that, maybe, you know, this stuff is a lot more raw for Melody. So Marcel's kind of putting it on, you know, we need to think about how this is affecting their emotions, calling it temporary insanity. He's calling it temporary insanity. But basically what he's trying to say is, you know, yeah, Melody might be hard on you and y'all might be bumping heads, but she's at an emotional state right now. So everything for her might not just be, you know, the best or the best reaction to Tish. And Tish too, Marcel's right. Are you being accountable for the shit that you did? And she's like, I don't know what I even did. Tish, you need to quit acting like you're not reveling in the fact that Melody and Martell are going through what they're going through. Because you threw that shit in her face at that the coffee meetup that y'all had. Oh, good luck with girlfriends and the matching BMWs. You couldn't wait to throw that shit in her face. So yeah, you got some stuff you need to acknowledge. Now, I don't fuck with Melody, but at the end of the day, I'm starting not to fuck with you because you're starting to just be like real petty, like petty Betty, as I like to call it. So it's the game night. Everybody makes it there, and Maurice and Kimmi make it there first. Now, Maurice got on the damn comeback shirt. Kimmi ain't really for it. She wants to do her own thing because she's tired of how, you know, it's always about the Holtz, and on the radio show, they didn't even advertise Kimmi's, you know, philanthropy, and they're always talking about how they want to do good for the community, but when other people do it, it's like they don't want to acknowledge them. So they get in the house, and Melody obviously notices the shirt, and she's like, here we go, the comeback thing. Maurice is like, I just want us to be together. Like, Maurice, I think this is a sinking ship. It's the Titanic. Buddy, it is over. So then they start talking about how, oh, you know, we're going to have a game night. You know, there's no babies. And Martell's like, oh, you know, until we get 5 or whatever. And Kimmi's like, wait, I know I passed math. What are you talking about 5? Like, Melody, are you pregnant? And Melody didn't want to say nothing. She's been trying to hold it. So now she's like, dang, now Martell can't keep his dick or our secrets in his pants. Well, Melody, like, if you want to keep throwing his shit out on Front Street, I feel like he low-key did it to be, like, to take a jab back at her. And that's the problem. Y'all two go back and forth. Like, it's a power struggle between y'all two. So, basically, they admit to being pregnant, and she asked them to keep it, you know, a secret. So then, Marcel and Tish come, and Tish goes to the bathroom, and Melody pulls Kimmi outside, and Tish sees it. And Tish basically, and Melody pulls Kimmi outside, and while Tish went to the bathroom, and Mel told Kimmi, like, you know, don't tell Tish, you know, we're not close. I just want to keep it between us. Kimmi gets it. I really respect Kimmi as a friend. She definitely knows how to keep things in place and not be super emotional. And I'm kind of the same way. Like, I understand people's point of views, and I always want to make sure both sides I get. And she's a very logical person and objective, and I'm very much the same way, so I get her. So in the middle of their conversation, you know, Tish walks outside, and she's like, oh, what y'all talking about? And they change the subject or whatever. And then Kimmi kind of puts it on, well, you know, like, guys, how are y'all doing since the cabin trip? And obviously they haven't talked, so Tish wants to go into, oh, you know, I really do want to, excuse me, y'all. She's like, I really do want to, like, revive our friendship and stuff, but, you know, we need to start over. And Melody's like, yeah, we do, but before we start over, it can't just be words. There needs to be actions. There needs some people who needs to own some stuff. And Tish like, well, what a coinky dink. I feel the same way. So it's like, here it is. Both y'all clearly have issues with each other. Like, say sorry for the shit y'all did and move on already. And Kimmi luckily intervened and, like, was like, look, is there an apology that needs to be made? So Mel says sorry for saying some hurtful things, and Tish does the same. She's like, you know, I said some messed up stuff because I was hurt, and I wanted to hurt you, and I shouldn't have did that, especially the time that you're going in. So now they're kind of back on even ground. So the rest of the couples come in, you know, game night is going well. They got this Huntsville Monopoly board that Sadark made. We're introduced to a new couple, Liberic and Destiny, you know, that they've known for a long time. And then Kimmi brings up the radio interview, and it just kills the mood. She's talking to them like, you know, we don't get recognition. Like, we do all this stuff even before you guys. Like, but y'all don't ever want to say nothing. Martell wants to go into how he did all this stuff in the community before them. Like, bruh, Martell, you aren't the only great one. Like, you get on my nerves when you do that shit. You are not the only one doing shit in the world and is the best or whatever. Like, bruh, your ego and your narcissism kills me. So then you know, Mel was like, well, wait a minute, like, Kimmi, you're doing this event, and on the bottom, you got come see the comeback group. You know, if there's going to be anything with our name, it has to be approved. Now, Kimmi don't think so, and this is the only time I'm going to side with Mel. But, Kimmi, you can't feel no type of way about how her and Martell go out and do stuff, but then you got something going on, and you got the comeback group on the bottom of it talking about come see us. Like, were people going to come, and was it just going to be you and Maurice there? Were you finally going to tell everybody else? Like, what was it? So everybody raised their hands and kind of agreed, like, no, like, if there's going to be anything with the comeback group, we all need to, like, know. So Tish pulls Kimmi downstairs, and we think it's to check up on her, because she's asking how she doing, and Kimmy's like, I'm just exhausted with the group, whoop-de-woo. But real quick, she turned it into, so, what were you and Melody talking about outside? And she was like, but she's like, oh, you know, is this something I want to know, or is it private? Kimmy's like, well, you know, I can't tell you it's private. She's like, well, were you talking about me? It just seemed like you guys were talking about me. And Kimmy's like, girl, like, I'm not going to talk about you. Like, you're my friend. Why would you think I would come to you? So you could tell Tish is starting to get real bothered by how her and Melody have become just a little bit closer. And, like, Tish, you need to understand, like, Kimmi has been friends with both of y'all, but now all of a sudden, because you and Melody got this beef, like, she's not supposed to talk to her. Like, it used to be y'all were the Three Musketeers. Like, she can't just knock Melody off and not acknowledge her because you want to have a pissy ass attitude. So now in her confessional, she's like, oh, they got this bond. They just must be best friends now. But Kimmi's being right. Like, she got no business telling Melody's, you know, stuff to you. Like, that'd be fucked up if she did. Like, so Tish, mind your business and be okay. All right? It's not going to kill you that Kimmi and Melody talk to each other. And she's always making it seem like, oh, you're Team Mel, the team, the Holtz. Girl, it's not sides. It's about right and wrong. And that's how I am for her. It's like, oh, you're picking her side. But no, bitch, if you're wrong, you're wrong. And if you're right, you're right. That's how I've always seen things. So after the game night, everything we start seeing, this is the part where Martell and Melody go to therapy. Now, they get in and Martell is already on the bull stuff because Dr. Francis comes in and he's like, oh, you want to start with what we talked about last time. And he's like, what did we talk about, doc? And the doctor looks at him like, nigga. He gives him the look like, bruh. So he's like, okay, we need to talk about how, you realize you treat women and, acknowledgement or whatever. So he starts asking Mel to get into how she feels. And Martell wants to cut her off like, oh, I already know how she feels. I feel like, I'm 90% good and I do this 10% bad thing. People aren't recognizing it. I want to get over the hump. I'm over the hump already. And Melody's like, well, I'm barely touching the hump. So we are two different pages. And you can see, like, you got caught, Martell. And it's starting to seem like you're not sorry that you cheated. You're sorry that you got caught cheating. And the doctor's making him see, like, bro, just because you're over something doesn't mean she isn't. So Melody goes into explaining how she felt like, and she was saying, I felt like I had to put my guard up. You became my enemy. I didn't know who I was talking to anymore. And Martell blames it on, well, I felt like as a wife, you didn't have time for me, whether it became sexually or communication. And then he was like, you became super busy and I put you on a pedestal. I let you get off the spotlight. Honestly, you wouldn't be here if I didn't push you. Like, all types of just real narcissistic shit. So then Melody is like, bruh, in the confessional, she's like, bruh, God put people in your life for a reason. Nigga, if it wasn't gonna be you, it was gonna be somebody else. And, like, you ain't the only one who can make people successful. From Mel's personality, regardless of you, Martell, Melody would have did something with her life. You could just tell that she's that type of person. So then she's like, I'm starting to feel hurt because you want to blame it on, my time and being busy. And he's like, well, I feel like I'm just as busy as you. She's like, well, obviously not, because you had time to do what you were doing. And, like, Martell, like, clearly you were not that busy. You weren't. You were at Hotel 6 or whatever, the Four Seasons with old side chick and doing your dirt. So what were you doing? Like, what time did you have for your wife then? And you made this happen for 3 years. So then he says, oh, Melody's just not good at time management. Oh, Oh, so you can manage to put this bitch in on your schedule. That's what you trying to say, Martell? I can't manage to put you on my calendar, but because I'm so busy, you gonna fill that void with another bitch who's not taking care of your kids, running a business with you. Like, I would have drop kicked him.
Oh shit.
Now it's about them fixing it, going in the future or whatever. So then he wants to be like, oh, you know, I feel like, you know, you should be there for me sexually, all types of messed up stuff. So then the doctor was like, bro, you are putting like your acknowledgement on her. Somewhere in your childhood, you got messed up because he always needs his ego fed. That's the issue. I'm not getting the acknowledgement. You're up on stage. But for Melody, it's like when I'm on stage, it's us. That's when you're married. It's us together. So they end the episode with Dr. Francis telling him, look, you got some shit to work out on. So the episode ends there, you guys. Y'all can tell me what you thought about it, how you felt about Martell's and Melody therapy session, and what the hell's gonna go on in their marriage. Y'all drop down in the comments, let me know. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Deuces.